Hey guys, Brandon Zerbe here, and when you look at the top sources of calories consumed by the average American, you get number 1 desserts, number 2 bread, number 3 chicken, number 4 soda, and number 5 pizza. I present to you the standard American diet. After seeing this list, it made me wonder what foods are healthiest. If we were to gauge the healthiness of foods based upon their effects to prevent chronic disease, or the nutrition label, or the complete nutrient profile, which food groups would come out on top? And what food groups should be our top sources of calories? Maybe vegan ice cream? I don't know. Let's get into it. So first I wanted to look at the associations between various food groups and their risk for chronic related disease. And for this, I found a fascinating study of studies, which is a mouthful, but I'll try to use my grade A graphic design work to explain this real quick. So a meta-analysis or systematic review is a study of studies, and it's a good way to summarize what has been found in most of the research world. But this study was a pool of meta-analysis and systematic reviews, more or less a summary of summaries. And its aim was to determine what percentage of studies showed that various food groups were either protective, neutral, or deleterious for human health when it comes to diet-related chronic disease. And what the present review of 304 PMA-SARs published between 1950 and 2013 confirmed was that plant-based food groups are more protective than animal-based food groups against diet-related chronic disease. On top of that, I found almost no protective effects for eggs, poultry, or red meat, and the only animal-based food group that did show some promise was seafood. But I still worry about that because of its high concentration of heavy toxic metals, PCBs, and dioxins. Because the most concentrated source of pollutants in our diet comes from our aquatic food chain. But among the plant-based food groups, all groups appear to perform equally well. Second, I wanted a way to compare food groups based upon what you'd find on their respective nutrition labels, such as calories, fat, sodium, added sugar, and select vitamins and minerals. And for that, I found a video by Dr. Michael Greger at nutritionfacts.org that looks at just that. Dr. Greger looked at 17 different food groups and then 15 common nutrients that you'd find on a nutrition label and compared them. He graded each food group based upon the nutrients by labeling them as green for good to eat, yellow for caution, and red for things to avoid. Finally, he sorted this list based upon which food groups he found healthiest, and he found that vegetables, herbs and spices, fruits, mushrooms, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds were the healthiest options. Oppositely, processed foods ranked the worst, with red meat, poultry, eggs, fish, dairy, and oils not far behind. And third, while this review by Dr. Greger was extremely useful, he even admits that it doesn't cover all the important qualities of food, such as processing, additives, and phytochemicals. Luckily, a paper was just published in the highly respected journal Nature last month that comes up with a nutrient profiling system that scores foods based on 54 attributes across 9 health-related domains: nutrient ratios, vitamins, minerals, food ingredients, additives, processing, specific lipids, fiber and protein, and phytochemicals. And based on this information, foods were provided a final food compass score ranging from 1 being the least healthy all the way up to 100 being the most healthy. And what they found was that the lowest scoring category was snacks and sweet desserts with an average score of 16.4. After that, beef came in second around 25, poultry 43, and seafood 67. But here at My Health Sciences, we aren't just looking for passing grades. We're looking for optimal grades. And to that, the highest scoring categories were vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, and fruit, with nearly all raw foods receiving a score of 100. So here are my final thoughts. While there's no clear and exact way to determine which foods are healthiest, I think these 3 studies give a good idea for what we should be focusing on. Whether we're worried about preventing chronic disease, or the nutrition label, or the complete nutrient profile, it's clear that whole plant food groups take the lead. This means eating a diet predominantly of vegetables, fruits, nuts and seeds, whole grains, and legumes. And maybe some seafood if you don't mind polluting your digestive tract with a little bit of mercury and microplastics, but up to you. Dealer's choice. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. If you did like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. It really does help out the channel and lets me know what kind of content I should be creating. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer all of those. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Lastly, I offer a free health kit, which has my top 10 sleep tips, 1 Whole Foods plant-based recipe, and a mobility workout that you can stream on any device. That is free. There's a link down in the description for that. It also gets you signed up to my weekly newsletter where I provide the 3 most important things that I've read, watched, or listened to within the past week. All of that completely free. Link down in the description if you're interested in that. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'll be back next week. I'll be back next week. Will I be back next week? You bet I'll be back next week. I'll be back next week. What'd you expect?